looking for that you'd be like really hyped to play?
Oh, you mean new civs? I
Yeah.
would have to think about that, but the first thing that would come into my mind would probably be Japanese, but that's a talk for a different time. LucifroN versus Beastyqt, game number 2 coming up here, with Beasty spawning on the right side in blue as the English, and on the left side is LucifroN playing as the Chinese in red. Not a lot of success finding sheep on the north here for LucifroN.
Yeah, absolutely. Just give me 1 second here. For some reason, my feed is cut out. And there it is. It has magically reappeared. And we are back in business, my friend. So King of the Hill. You know, some changes to this map, of course. You have the giant periphery. I don't know if you ever played some of those more old school games like Warcraft 3, but whenever I played a lot of free-for-all games on this map, this is something that we often do. And seeing the people actually like chop into the forest and then build their wonders in the corner of the map. It's pretty hilarious for sure, but...
Well,
subject for nothing. Yeah.
I sure as hell did not see a single wonder being built in Age of Empires 4 on this map.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of like an FFA or a team game thing for sure. But like you said, English aggression certainly is potentially on the table. Chinese. Has the Chinese meta been... I mean, I feel like Chinese fast castle isn't bad either, for sure. If they can get that early pressure up on the sacred site with an entrenched position. China is an excellent civilization for defending entrenched positions. Ooh, look at the scout almost going down there. Those English TCs are so dangerous, man.
Yeah, they are. The extra arrow they shoot makes them very intimidating. And it would have been a blunder to lose a scout over here, because if there is any map where you can really basically predict the position of the enemy town center with like 95% accuracy, it is this one. It's always directly on the opposing side of the hill. So yeah, it would have been a big problem to lose one scout over there. Luckily, he's going to be able to avoid that. Beast is only operating with one scout though, which is nowadays pretty unconventional, even for the English. Usually you see players opening with 2 scouts, regardless of the civilization now.
Yeah, 2 scouts is just so powerful. I mean, not only in terms of what it brings to, you know, exploring the map and finding out where all the goodies are hidden, but in terms of harassing enemy scouts and, you know, honestly, 2 scouts in somebody's gold line, if they're really, you know, relatively lazy, it can force villager pulls, or you can even get kills potentially. So the double scout is just so valuable. And, you know, if you do want to go pro scouts as well, it's a nice kind of transition into that. Granted, England pretty much... Have you ever seen England go pro scouts? I don't think I've ever seen them do that in a competitive game.
Yeah, you have to add that, because I'm sure that there is some bronze Elo legends that do that. But
some plastic league, yeah, just the English pro scout play, just to pile it onto those old farms. Yeah, that would be pretty wild. Although, you know, we're talking about never seeing that, but then again, a couple minutes ago, you're telling me about Muslim using the Abbey of Kings in a competitive game. So anything can happen, man.
I mean, Abbey of Kings actually became a pretty popular landmark. Like,
no way, really?
They did, because it actually synergizes really well with the English horseman build. So we have seen some players, even in Golden League. I think Kaswa played English horseman with Abbey on Altai, and it was a really successful build for him.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's nice to see the Abbey getting at least some level of usage. Obviously, the Council Hall is still a lot more flexible, a lot more popular, but the Abbey situationally is now a fairly decent landmark. So you're going to see that like 10% of the games or so. Unlike, let's say, the Tower of Victory.
Oh my god, yeah, the Tower of Victory. You know what would be a really ridiculous play? Imagine if the English player just got the Abbey of Kings and just placed, like, proxied it up by the sacred site or something, and just had this like healing fountain, you know, to contest the sacred site. That would actually be really interesting, huh? Hard to pull off for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure. Looks like Beasty is going to operate with what is 5 farms now. Going up with the Council Hall, only building it with like 2 or 3 villagers. And this is one of those Beasty builds where we could be seeing a relatively fast castle age from him. This is something that he tried against Viper when he played on, I think that was Lipany in the winner's bracket set. And in that one, the idea was that you build up a pretty decent food econ and you go straight fast castle here. I'm curious if he's going to do that though, but that is a villager moving forward. What exactly is she up to?
Could be doing some sort of a tower, obviously, to follow up with some aggression. I mean, you know, like I said, I just have this feeling that BC's going to get aggressive here. I don't know what it is, but I feel like, oh yeah, look at that. A tower up on the sacred side. Okay, maybe that's a little bit more indicative. Are those... Look at that, we got some Chinese villagers. Oh, the duel. Although they're certainly outnumbered here.
Oh, he wants to prevent the Barbican. Of course.
Look, our tower is bigger than yours. We have the Barbican of the Sun against the English English tower right there. Certainly sending a message to the English villager. But the barbecue will probably finish, and it looks like 2 villagers are going to be pulled to go shut down that tower there, maybe.
You have to. The idea here for both players is that they want to prevent the opponent from capping the sacred site, because you just want to, you know, sit back home, boom, and not care about anything in the world. So you want to prevent the opponent from capping that sacred site. That's why both of them are rushing some sort of tower-like structure over there, but it is Beasty who's gonna have to bail out on this one, and that is a significant problem for him because that Barbican is going up and his tower isn't.
Yeah, certainly so. And you can see the double scout, like we talked about earlier, the value of having them on the battlefield. They're able to get there and push off that villager. And again, I think this is going to even further warrant the aggression from Beasty. Maybe we're going to be, well, we'll be able to tell pretty quick. As soon as that council hall finishes, are we going to be seeing longbows? Are we going to see villagers pulled off gold over onto wood to support a battering ram push? I think what he's going to do is going to become clear here very soon, although we do see another mill coming down. So maybe just more farms and maybe a castle age type push. Windguard Palace probably take a little bit too long to get there.
It's possible, indeed. There is a mill coming up over here for Beasty. Now, LucifroN is already in the Song Dynasty, but he's not mining stone. So this is a single town center Song Dynasty build, possibly for a fast castle, because if he's expecting some longbows to be added and potentially some pressure being put on his base, then going for this semi-fast castle approach for Palace Guards could actually make a lot of sense. And remember, he denied that tower from Beasty, so if he gets to Castle Age, he can cap the Sacred Site, and we can just see the same old story again. One player controlling the Sacred Site, forcing the other to make a move.
Yeah, I think I was certainly wrong about my prediction as it pertains to Beasty being aggressive here. He's clearly going for a very fast Castle Age. He's got about 1,000 food banked and about 600 wood, so he's going to be getting to castle substantially faster than his Chinese opponent. Obviously, China invested in a second giant landmark, which is going to be 400, 200, so that's going to slow down your castle. You know, of course, they get the faster villager production, but England is going to be going castle here, and most likely going to be King's Palace, followed up by some sort of aggression to push the Chinese off that sacred site, because like you said, on this map, that is where the battle is going to be taking place.
Indeed, there is going to be the King's Pass, interestingly right next to the starting town center. That's an awkward little spot to put it at. Obviously, it doesn't want to expand very far away, but it's going to take a lot of walking distance for the villagers. It could have been maybe put in that corner. I'm sure that Beasty has its reasoning behind doing it this way, and I guess it's going to be a very compact and well-defendable base, so I can understand why he is doing that, but it looks a little awkward. One thing I would have been very curious in, though, is that Beasty went for a tower in the middle. What if he got that tower up and the Barbican didn't go up? Would he be considering the white tower in the middle instead? Obviously, it would be more of an all-in style play, but you could really justify the white tower in that case in the middle.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, man. I think the white tower is an incredible piece for King of the Hill because, like you know, English keeps can produce military units, right? So you don't need to build a siege workshop. You can instantly start building some, you know, spring alts, which are so good for defending because the countermeasure to your white tower is going to be some sort of siege, most likely trebuchets. And having the spring alt spam coming out of the white tower in conjunction with longbows and just super tanky men-at-arms, the attack speed buff you're going to be getting as England from your network is just so powerful. But looks like England's going to be going for a little bit of stone here, which I wonder if it's going to be probably maybe a keep up on the hill?
I guess so. I mean, the players are starting to understand the situation here. I'm generally speaking about all the players in the scene, that on this map you can't just sit back and boom, because the moment your opponent has a window to cap that sacred site, he's going to do so, and if you don't act fast enough, he's going to fortify it to a point where you simply can't push it. So, obviously, Beasty is aware of the fact that he's going to have to prepare for the... Oh, he's trapping that scout, or at least that's the plan. He's going to try and trap that scout in there.
Yeah, I think the intent is just to keep those archers out, but yes, the scout will have a little bit of a paid vacation there in that barricade being made by the Chinese. And yeah, BC I think is going to be going pedal to the metal here. We see a monastery coming out, so he'll be able to grab a couple relics, and then as soon as he's ready, most likely move up. And he's got to be gathering stone for a keep. I don't really see him going for another TC. Like, I guess a triple TC would be a little bit greedy with the sacred site on the table, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. Three TCs here would be super greedy for Beasty with the Sacred Site out there. On the other hand, as you pointed out, just like the White Tower, you can also use the castles to make siege weapons on it. It provides you a network of castles bonuses as well, so it's a very strong fortification. And you could drop it right next to that Sacred Site. Sure enough, there is that Barbican close to it, but you could still drop it right next to that Sacred Site, and you would have a tremendous amount of firepower coming out of it.
He'd be relatively safe to do so also. China doesn't really have a standing military at this point. They have literally one spearman on the battlefield, and England has some longbows. They have a couple knights that have come out. So they could easily take control over that position and start just pumping out trebuchets, for example, from there and knocking the barbecue of the sun down and really getting quite cozy. It looks like the first relic is going to be hunted down by the English Friar Tuck as he moves up to the north, and the knights are going to be pushing off those scouts most likely. So far, I think Beasty's in a good position to get aggressive here, but you can never underestimate China's production. We see Palace Guard coming out, and China can supervise their military whenever they're ready, which they're doing right now. And mass amounts of Palace Guard are coming out, and I believe the Sacred Site will be attempted to be taken here in a second. Longbows may be able to say something about that.
Yeah, both players working towards some relics over here. You see Beasty picking up the first one, and there was a monastery as well for LucifroN. He's yet to build a gate over here to let his units out, but this is the window where he wants to cap that Sacred Site and then potentially work towards fortifying that. I wouldn't be surprised to see LucifroN trying to start getting some stone for himself and start fortifying that position, because let's not underestimate the Chinese castles. They do fire with gunpowder rather than arrows, which makes them a lot more viable against heavily armored units like battering rams, for example.
Yeah, certainly. Nice little counter push here by LucifroN. He sees the English kind of just sitting there and relaxing, and he's going to be bringing out his Palace Guard and spears, and it's going to be forcing Beasty off the hill for now. But I'm sure Beasty will be able to pull his knights, which I believe he's got a decent amount of knights at this point. Only 2, actually, and 3 longbows. So the militaries are relatively equal. And I believe there was a Chinese monk heading up to the Sacred Site, correct?
I didn't see it, but it's possible that there was. So I would think, yeah, there it is. It's going to be capped. And now Beasty's on a timer. And the problem here is that he's going to drop a castle over there, but dropping a building on it and decapping it is 2 different things. I still think that Beasty's got a good chance at decapping it going forward, but he's going to need that castle right next to that Sacred Site. And the question is whether he can actually build it up right now, because he talked about this one. Chinese can just flood out units really fast. And Beasty currently only has a few longbows and some knights. So, in fact, it's only 2 knights, 2 longbows. So the Chinese army over here could just prevent him from dropping the castle in the first place. And then without that keep, it's going to be very difficult to decap that Sacred Site.
Oh, certainly so. And you can see the Palace Guard are obviously incredibly quick, and they're able to run around and harass the English. And, every moment that the English are chasing down these annoying Palace Guard, they're not really progressing and moving up the hill. And now I really like that LucifroN already has 3 Spring Alds out. And, of course, if you're the defender in this situation, spamming out the Spring Alds is going to be super nice. Trebuchets are going to come in, and if Beasty slips up on his Trebuchet control for even a second, those Spring Alds are going to be able to essentially one-shot it, which is going to be very strong. And now we do see a keep coming down. Looks like Beasty's going to be dropping that bad boy. And the English are going to be making their power play here for the high ground.
Yeah, they have to. The question is whether that's going to go up. This will be spotted by LucifroN, but I don't think that he has the critical mass of forces to try and stop that one. He might actually commit, or at least use the Springles to try and pick off a couple of villagers. And he himself is mining stone, so it's likely going to be a face-off at the hilltop over here. Springles will actually open up against those vills. I don't think he can stop the keep, but he might be able to get a couple of villager picks over there.
He might be able to actually stop this. It's going to be pretty close. Those Spring Alds are picking off the villagers rather quickly, but now longbows are coming up. Now that the longbows are here, the keep might get off because they can keep the spearmen from jumping on. I think England needs to maybe pull some more villagers and just sacrifice them to the gods here to try and get that finished.
Yeah, clock is ticking over here for Beasty, and this is getting worse and worse because the trebuchet might go down. The scout actually gets picked off. And LucifroN is very close to dropping his own keep, and the moment that goes up, Beasty can't decap this without destroying that keep. That's the problem. As long as there is no keep over there, just the Barbican, he gets his own keep up, he's gonna have a window to decap this. But the moment LucifroN builds up his own defensive structure over here, it's like a bit different story. Looks like both keeps are likely going up here, because there is gonna be one being built on the left side by LucifroN, and one on the right side by Beasty, but traps are already out here for LucifroN, and he's shelling that building already.
Yeah, China seems to be in certainly an advantageous position right now. They have double trebuchets. China also got the pick on the English trebuchet, so their numbers are going to be a little bit lower. Like, there could be 2 English trebs right now, knocking down the Barbican, but instead there's only 1 moving up there, and it's going to be really tough to break this position because China also has the advantage of these Spring Alds, which, even though they're not the Terminators against units anymore, they still, of course, can shoot down, longbowmen here and there and can keep villagers from repairing potentially. And yeah, China seems to be in a very, very cozy position. What is Beasty's response going to be here? It looks like longbows and knights still. I don't think he's going for any men-at-arms.
Yeah, he's going longbows and knights over here. He needs to continuously produce stuff on that castle, though. He needs to use that as a Springald factory. because he needs every single unit that he can get on the battlefield. As you said, the quality will be better for the Chinese, so it has to come down to the numbers. He's actually grabbing Network of Citadels, which is going to be a great bonus over here.
Yeah,
further
absolutely.
increasing his bonus, or rather the attack rate for himself. Oh, the Springolds might actually get the kill on the Trebuchet, though. They do.
That's pretty brutal, man. Losing those trebuchets there is going to be incredibly painful because they're 500 wood, and that's going to be a lot. Looks like a couple knights dive in there, but they're being picked apart. Spears are poking them down, and now the third trebuchet coming out here for the Chinese. I don't see that English keep holding, and another big problem is England is having to spend so much wood to repair their keep there, if I'm not mistaken, or at least resources, and that's going to be mitigating the production of the English artillery.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. It also is going to slow down the production of the longbows, and they're spending a ton of wood indeed on repairing, contrary to what you have for LucifroN, who doesn't have to spend resources on repairing those buildings at all. In fact, he just piled up enough stone for a second castle, and if that goes up, this would be a very problematic scenario for Beasty. The timer is already at 550, and the defense is getting stronger and stronger for LucifroN rather than getting weaker.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the English keep is just barely holding on. Now we have, I believe, 2 Springalds here for the English, so they've kind of changed their approach. Rather than just trying to shove trebuchets down their opponent's base here, they're going to be getting some springs to try and equalize the numbers. And it looks like they're going to be trying a decap right here. Knights moves on, but the spears immediately push them off. Beasty's Springald's getting torched there by the spearmen. And once again, a disastrous engagement there for the English. It looks like the Chinese going to be laughing all the way to the bank here with this sacred site, as those longbows probably going to be getting picked off by the Barbican, and I think they're just out of range of the keep, though. Villagers being pulled to decap as well.
Yeah, I feel like this is pure desperation now by Beasties, realizing that, as I pointed out, this defense isn't getting weaker, it is getting stronger and stronger. All the villagers being pulled against the Springolds. Oh, it's getting decapped, but there's a Springold also camping in there, and as long as it's in that circle, Beastie can't continue to decap. The price is gonna be astronomical here for Beastie to take down all those Springolds with. He might even decap the sacred side, but he just has to pay such a large price for this.
Yeah, he's truly paying the troll toll here. And I mean, you articulated it very well. If he's able to decap this, it's going to be at the cost of like 10 or 15 villagers. Currently, the villager count is actually still pretty close. Beastie with the King's Palace was able to get a pretty good run of villagers there. So maybe it won't be as catastrophic, but the thing is, like, LucifroN's just going to recapture it as soon as this finishes here. And I think if China is able to get another keep down, like right north of the sacred site, I think it'll be basically impossible for Beastie to do anything about it. Here comes the trebuchets. Trebuchet's going to be launching in. Finishing off that Springald there, it would appear. And I think the decap might actually happen. Pretty impressive, man.
I mean, the trebuchets are being sacrificed over here to try and maintain control over that sacred site. You see not a single unit out there for LucifroN. But the thing is that the knights, they will just get picked apart by the castle, and the Barbican slowly grinds down those longbows. Looks like he's maintaining control over that position. LucifroN needs to pull 20 vills and make a castle, and he wins this game, I think.
I mean, trebuchets have pretty decent HP as well, right? They're not like... Yeah, I think compared to other artillery pieces. So the mighty tank trebuchet is holding. The villagers being pulled. The brave English villagers going to be charging in, trying to torch the trebs, getting one down relatively low, but a little bit of trebuchet micro using those speedy wheels to get back. And England is just hemorrhaging villagers right now. China is now 71 to 54.
Oh yeah, there it is. Beast is gonna tap out. He knew fully well that he needs to make that push. He tried to decap it, but it was impossible. So he knows very well that if this push doesn't work, then there is no chance, because LucifroN had enough stone for a second keep, and Beastie was in no position to decap that sacred site. Very well played, almost an all-in style approach here from LucifroN, because if you take a look at how Castle Age started for both of these players, Beastie tried to prioritize the relics, play a slightly longer game, whereas for LucifroN, he was like, okay, I'm going to all in the middle. Go for the monk right away to cap the sacred site, and then start working towards that stone for the castle as well. Beast tried to get his own castle up, but that wasn't... Actually, he got the castle up, he just got trapped down immediately, so... Yeah. LucifroN felt like he was one step ahead when it comes to contesting that central area at every single moment of this game.
Yeah, he's very prepared. I mean, he walled off his entire borders to make sure there would be no harass in his main base. He had the Springald advantage as well. He was entrenched. He had the Barbecue of the Sun to outmatch the English towers. He felt very cozy for most of that game. I don't think there was any point where the Chinese were like in any sort of danger. Pretty much every aspect went in their favor. But, you know, got to give big props to Beastie as well. You know, he kept fighting. A lot of people would have just left, I think, but he made every attempt to get those villagers up there to decap it. So certainly he's got a pretty solid fighting spirit there, I would say.